basically when I'm gonna drop, I want to make sure that in my head I know that everything is perfect on my bike, that I've made sure that every single parameter I can control is good. I've put a mark, I know where to take off, I've done a couple of running, I'm comfortable with the speed, and so now I'm just gonna do it. Hey guys, how are you doing? Today's video is about safety, risk management and risk assessment. Not many people talk about the subject, but it's a big part of our sport. So for this, we're gonna head up the trail and meet with Mike Conway, which is a search and rescue from Whistler. So let's go. How are you doing, Mike?
Hey, good man, how are you?
Good.
Good to see you.
It's really cold. We should head to the top of Gauranga so we can warm up on the climb.
Sounds good.
Yeah. You good?
I'm good. After you.
Let's go. Here we are, Gauranga. So Mike, tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, my name is Mike Conway. I live and work in Whistler. I'm a physiotherapist and one of the owners of Back in Action Physiotherapy. And I'm also part of the search and rescue team in Whistler.
Sweet. And what do you do for the Olympic ski cross team from Canada?
Yeah, I've been the lead physio for Canada Ski Cross for the last 10 years.
Nice.
It's just been a fun journey.
Sweet. And so as a hobby, obviously you ski. What else do you do?
I snowboard, I snowmobile, I trials bike in the summertime, I ride mountain bikes, of course. Pretty much every sport you can do in the mountains I like to do.
Can you explain us what is a search and rescue? What do you guys do?
Yeah, so effectively we're first responders. We get calls when we need to help rescue somebody in difficult terrain, essentially, out of access from roads.
Competitive Cyclists, which is an online retailer based out of the United States, actually sponsored that video. They wanted to bring some awareness to mountain biking and help out understand risk management and risk assessment. And because Mike is a volunteer, they gave him a $500 US gift card in order to buy some products. So what did you get?
Yeah, I got an air gun, seat, and grips. I got Topic, pumps, pro bars, chain.
Pressure gauge as well, and shock pump.
Yeah.
So everything to set up your bike. And yeah, so if you guys need any of those products or any product, check out their website. They have basically every brand you can think of. And yeah, there is also a special discount I have to give you, which is Remy15. It will give you a 15% discount on your first order. So there is a link in the description to the website. So yeah, check it out. So Mike, how does that work? If I see an accident or if I have an accident, what should I do to get in touch with you?
You basically call 911. 911 will then determine if search and rescue needs to be accessed because it's in difficult terrain and not accessible by vehicles.
Okay. If it's the case, so I call 911. In a remote location, it's difficult to access. So you guys are called. How does that work? How do you determine how you get there?
So our team gets a page, and the members that can make it basically meet up at our command center, and we discuss the situation and the information we know, and then we determine a plan, and then we basically make our way into the field, via helicopter, mountain bike, side by side. And then when we get on scene, we obviously provide immediate first aid, but our real goal is packaging and get them to a medical center or hospital to a higher level of care.
So in the Sea to Sky corridor, which is basically between Pemberton and Vancouver, what are the typical injury and type of accidents you see that are mountain biking related?
Yeah, so I mean, anything from sprains and strains and dislocations and fractures, most are often to the upper limb. People put their hands down. We see lower limb injuries too, but mostly shoulders, wrists, elbows, head and neck injuries. Yeah, let's sum it up.
Do you think that it's possible to avoid mountain biking accidents?
You can't prevent all accidents. I believe you can significantly mitigate risks, and there's lots of ways to do that. The biggest is ride within your ability. When you're doing difficult features, walk the feature first, look at it from all angles, find your line. Obviously, make sure the weather conditions are suitable for riding. Have proper equipment should things go badly. Make sure people know where you're riding, that kind of stuff.
Make sure to have your phone charged, obviously.
For sure.
Make sure to know your location.
Yeah.
What about bikes? Like, do you see a lot of accidents that you believe could be avoided if the bike was, well set up? Or
I think that's definitely part of some of the accidents that do happen. People don't necessarily maintain their bikes well, don't necessarily have the right fit. But it's a part of it for sure.
I feel people often forget that mountain biking is a mechanical sport.
For sure.
And so your bike is basically your tool, and if it's not properly maintained, properly set up, it can actually become a potential danger.
Yeah.
And so I think there's a lot of education to do regarding that.
Yeah.
And so we'll see that a bit later, where I'll talk about my own experience as a professional biker and how I approach a dangerous feature or like a stunt, and how I adapt my bike to what I want to be doing.
For sure.
So do you guys only assist when there is an accident, an injury?
No, basically the two emergency situations that seem to come up is people are lost, or they've run out of daylight, or they've had an injury. So those two scenarios are the most common.
How do you locate those people?
So one of the things that people often don't realize is they actually have a coordinate setting on their phone. So if you click the compass setting there, you can see that is broken down into degrees, minutes, and seconds. If you give us those coordinates, we can actually locate you exactly where you are on the trail.
So how do you read that location, for example?
Basically, that'd be 49 degrees, 44 minutes, and 47 seconds north, 123 degrees, 7 minutes, and 2 seconds west.
Okay. When you go mountain biking, what are the kind of the top tips you should consider before going on the outdoor?
Yeah, so when you go on the outdoor, basically three major points are trip planning, letting people know where you are and planning out, the length of the ride that you're going to do, having the right training for the terrain that you're going to be in, having the right skills, and basically taking the right essentials. Obviously, if you have a mechanical, having the right tools to help with that. But depending on the length of your ride and how long you're expecting to be out there for, there are some other things that can be quite helpful in terms of first aid kit and other essentials that we can talk about. I can show you what's in my bag. Basically.
Yeah, sweet. Another thing you mentioned, like preparing the ride, knowing where you go, knowing how long. Obviously, you can use maps. There is Trail Forks. That's really good because it's an app you can have on your phone that help you to locate yourself when you go on a ride. If you've never been to a zone, it's always good to know where is going to be the trail, what to expect. And also you can read information about the trails, the condition of the trails, if there is any tree or anything you should be mindful of before riding it. Yeah. And that also gives you a very good estimation of how long is a trail, how long does it normally take someone to ride on it, how long is a climb, all that kind of stuff. So that helps you to prepare and have a better expectation of what you launch yourself into. What should a mountain biker carry with him on a regular ride, basically? Yeah,
so basically the essentials for should you have a mechanical, got a spare tube, a patch kit, a pump, multi-tool, chain. Should my chain break, I got a chain link. Beyond that, obviously having enough water and having some food is important. I also carry a light with me. I've been in a number of situations where people have been injured and they basically run out of time with light, or the people that are with them, we can't take them out and they have to make their way out with the person's bike, for example.
Yeah, because someone crashes and you expect your ride to finish in the summer at 7:30 p.m. and your friend crashes and you stay with them over an hour, and suddenly he's taken care of by search and rescue, but you have to exit the trail.
Exactly.
And then it becomes too late. So
yeah. I always carry a first aid kit with me, just a very small one. It's got some of the little essentials, gauze, and I bring tape with me as a physio. There's lots of injuries, I can tape and support, which I think everybody can either bring. I mean, duct tape is something that's common that people bring, but any sort of tape is helpful. I bring a pencil in case I have to write down information. That's doesn't happen very often, but I have found that useful. A whistle, a signaling device is helpful, and a space blanket is one of the most, I think, important little tools.
So what do you use it for?
Basically, a space blanket can be used as a signaling tool, and more importantly, it can keep you warm should you be spending overnight in a situation where you're lost or you're injured and we can't get to you in time.
So I guess this is really useful when you fly to a remote zone. Let's say, even if it's not that remote, but somewhere on the Alpine, and you fly with an helicopter to find someone that had an accident, I guess it's really hard to see them. So
it is.
If they have something that's flashy, that makes the job easier.
Yeah.
Outside of those main tips, what would you recommend anyone to do that plays in the outdoor? Either it's mountain biking, dirt biking, skiing, snowmobiling, trail running. What do you advise those people to do?
Yeah, besides what we've already mentioned, I think having a first aid course to help yourself or other people that you come across that are potentially need aid, need assistance, it's helpful having those tools.
Sweet. Thanks a lot, Mike, for all those tips. Hopefully no one needs to call you. And be safe out there.
Thanks, you too.
Whoa! Holy f***. You good, man? That was, by the way, the gnarliest crash I've ever seen on Gauranga. There's a guy during the race last year, a couple of years ago, that had a gnarly one, but yours was gnarlier. So.
Did you walk away from it, or?
Yeah, it was fine, I think. Yeah. Let me ride on your bike. Wait, because your brakes are reversed, eh?
Yeah.
Maybe no, not gonna ride your bike with reverse brakes. So what happened up there?
Got a bit out of control, mate. Yeah.
So
tried gapping the little rock gap there and just couldn't pull up.
You just got bucked a little bit and carried a lot of speed.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you seem okay, right?
Yeah, I'm all good. Yeah. Landed in the bushes, thankfully, not the rocks.
Well, next time with a bit less speed then.
Yeah.
Yeah, that guy just came down Gauranga, seems to be a very good rider. We asked him if we could film. He said, yeah, no problem. And so he went down, he was perfectly in control. He had great body position. Seems like his bike was well set up, but he jumped into that spoon and he got bucked at the end of the spoon right here, which is, for me, is the hardest part, because you're on your brakes, it's kind of off camera before, and it's really easy to get kicked, and because it's so steep behind, it's really easy to go over the bar, which is basically what he did. Lost control and had one of the gnarliest crash I've seen. Fortunately managed to crash onto, like some soft patch of dirt and some bushes, and he was absolutely unhurt, which I'm really happy about, because that could have been really bad. As a professional rider, I put a lot of thought into taking a risk. Like, before I even consider taking a risk, I look at a feature and I try to understand what I can get out of doing it. One of the biggest motivation for me is obviously doing something cool, is a cool feeling, but because I get paid to ride a bike, obviously I always have the financial aspect in the back of my mind. I always ask myself if it's worth it from a sponsorship point of view. So I'm gonna look at a jump or rock face, and I'm gonna question myself, if I do it, does that bring something to my sponsor? If the answer is no, if it's not gonna be something that's gonna be valuable for sponsor and it's a lot of risk, there is, you know, a lot of chance that I'm not gonna do it. If the answer is yes, if it's something that clearly shows that the bike works well, that the brakes, you know, have a great modulation, that the tire grip well, and I feel comfortable doing it, even if it's outside of my comfort zone, I'm gonna start considering it, because I believe that it's something that can help me with my professional career. Once I've decided to take a risk and go a little bit outside of my comfort zone, one of the first things I do is actually to walk the line. Why? Because I want to make sure that there is no, you know, wooden stick, loose rocks, or anything that could potentially start a crash. So if there is, obviously I'll remove them. But also, if I don't know the line, I want to study the different options I have and pick up, you know, the safest one. And if it's kind of easy, maybe the, you know, fastest one or smoothest one. So it depends, you know, what I'm looking for. So I look at those options at the different line, and I also look at option if something goes wrong. You know, if I'm doing something really exposed, I look if, you know, maybe there is a spot where if something goes wrong where I can manage to stop. Now, if there is a tree I can grab, I look at, you know, if I have to crash somehow, I look at, you know, if there is a bush, or at the contrary, if there is a place where I absolutely don't want to crash. So that could be if there is a little cliff, if there is a rock garden. So, you know, I always keep that in mind while making a decision. That line behind me, obviously I've done it countless of times, so I'm really comfortable and confident doing it. But the first time I've done it, I put, you know, a lot of thought on, you know, where could be the potential issue. So right now you can see it's like kind of off-camber steep, so grip could be an issue. So, you know, I made sure that my tire pressure was correct, that my tire were in good condition, that the bike obviously was, you know, was perfect. And there is two massive compressions that are bigger than any compression I will normally encounter on a trail ride. Technically, I do not need to adjust my suspension. My bike is well set up to do that kind of stuff already. But because that's the first time I'm gonna do it, and I have, you know, a pretty good expectation of how big is gonna be the impact and how it's gonna feel, I just want to put every chance on my side to, you know, make it absolutely perfect. So what I did was to increase a little bit the high-speed compression and put a bit more air on my suspension just to get a little bit more support. So I'm about to ride this line, you know, I've checked the bike, everything is good. I always like to, you know, I brake, make sure that the contact point of the brake pad and the disc is, you know, exactly like I want. I make sure that my seat post is, you know, the way it should be, that my suspension settings haven't moved. I really make sure that everything is good. I clip and unclip a few times, just because, you know, I could have a tiny rock that's stuck in between my shoe and my cleat, which can happen when you walk your bike, you know, just going back up the feature. And basically when I'm gonna drop, I want to make sure that in my head I know that everything is perfect on my bike, that I've made sure that every single parameter I can control is good. So yeah, let's get done it. Always stay in control. That's you don't ever want to take a risk and feel completely out of control. I actually hate feeling like I'm not in control. So it's really important to, you know, stay within that zone. Even if you want to push yourself, you don't want to push yourself to your limit. You always want to stay like a step under what you can actually do. So some of you might recognize this line. That's a drop I opened a few months ago. And same, I've done it countless of time, but it's not because I've done it, so that now I'm just gonna go and just send it. So I kind of warmed up on that line I just showed you with a roll, and that was a good, you know, a good way to warm up, feel how the bike is braking, feel the dirt, because, you know, right now it's end of November and the dirt is actually on some section kind of frozen. So now that I'm, you know, comfortable with the terrain, I know how the dirt is, I know how my bike reacts, I feel comfortable doing that jump. So I've put a mark, I know where to take off, I've done a couple of running, I'm comfortable with the speed, and so now I'm just gonna do it. I've done it so many times, but still got the heart pumping. So yeah, I've just done the drop. I had done it before, so I knew what to expect, but yeah, it went really smooth. Every single time I do, you know, a feature, a drop, a trail, I just try to analyze everything, whether it's how my body reacts or how the bike reacts, just because all that information I can collect it, analyze it, and then basically become a better rider, more skilled, more knowledge, and yeah, make a smarter decision in the future and keep progressing. So when I talk about collecting information for that specific drop, for example, I noticed that I have about 10% left of travel on the rear and 15% left on the front. The bike felt really good. The compression was super controlled. The rebound was good. I didn't like blow through the travel. So that's really good information for me, because tomorrow if I want to jump a bigger drop than this with a rougher landing, based on, you know, what I've been doing today and how my suspension wears, that, you know, basically gives me the information I need to make a smart choice tomorrow on how I'm gonna adjust the bike. One thing I'd like to insist on is actually the weather. It might be common sense, but it's something I'd like to insist on, because basically we're doing an activity, and the weather for a mountain bike is extremely important because it dictates many things. The grip, you know, if it's wet or if it's icy, it's definitely gonna impact your line choices and how a feature can be more of a risk. Also the wind is an important factor. So all that stuff is something you should take in consideration when riding a feature or choosing a line. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoy the tips of my Conway professional of the mountain safety and my point of view on risk management and risk assessment. I'd like to thank again Competitive Cyclists for sponsoring that video. Don't forget, I have a link in the description below and a special code of 15% for your first purchase, Remy15, and the link is in the bio. You can purchase some of the product I write, such as the airgun grip and seat, time pedals, E13 wheels, and a bunch of other products. And I hope to see you on YouTube or see you on the trails. Don't forget to let me know in the comment below if you have any questions, and have a good one.